right now we're going to jump into map number 2 here in the best of 5 series. Starting to the bottom left, we have for Evil Genius, Jaedong, in a 1-0 lead against his opponent in this best of 5 in the winners match of Group B at the ASUS ROG 2014. And starting here on Yonsu to the top right of the map, we have the Protoss player, the Finnish Protoss player. It is Elfi, who was successful earlier on against Apocalypse with the 3-2 and finds himself now down 1 map in the best of 5. And well, for now we have the pylon once again for Elfi in the main base. Question of course now being what Jaedong is going to do. Most likely we're going to see once again a hatch first by the Zerg player. And Elfi kind of predicted before the series started that he would lose without even taking a map, so he's not really very... I mean, he doesn't really believe in his own chances here. Jaedong is just such a strong player that he was from the beginning the huge favorite to take the first spot in the group here. And if Elfi actually loses this best of 5, it would mean that he goes up against the winner of Kung Fu Panda and Apocalypse, who are currently fighting against each other in the losers match.
Now, we already know we can't trust Elfi in his predictions. He said 3-0 against Apocalypse, and he won 3-2. So by rights, if he said 0-3, he will lose 2-3 against Jaedong here, which is good for him. At least he will win 2 maps.
Would make for a very interesting best of 5. Yeah,
So let's see. 1 gas being taken.
And Jaedong, of course, here once again with a hatch first, as we already assumed after especially game number 1. And I feel like the ball is really in Elfi's court right now. He's the one who has to think about, okay, what am I going to do? Game number 1, that didn't work. Same MO will probably not yield a different result. So what is my play here? What do you think he could do?
I feel like the problem with Elfi is PvZ a little bit, and why PvT is working out so well for him. Basically, in PvT, you can play the same strategy or the same versions of the same different versions of the same strategy many times in a row and still be really solid. Important parts there are game sense, attack timing, upgrades, and particularly defense. So a solid player like Elfi or the Korean version of Elfi, Rain, who compared to Korean has low APM and is also playing very standard and solid in the matchup. They're going to have good PvT records and statistics. But in PvZ, you've got to kind of be a dirtbag as a Protoss against Zerg. You've got to... I mean, if you look at the most successful PvZ players, for example, Naniwa in Europe or SOS in Korea, they play with a huge variety of different strategies. Sometimes they'll go for a gateway expansion, other times Nexus expansion, and other times yet, they'll start building cannons in the wrong base. Building cannons in the opponent's base without any gateway or nexus to speak of initially. So there's such a different rhythm to those PvZ. And Elfi, in the last best of 3, we saw him against Jaedong where he lost 1-3. He did the same opening every 4 games in a row. 1 gas, expand, second pylon on the low ground, third pylon on the low ground. And when the Zerg sees that, they see this pattern, there's a number of things they can infer from that. It takes predictable forms. For sure, Jaedong studied his opponents in this group, and for sure he remembers how Elfi played last time. He sees now everything is looking the same. That means that he can make certain assumptions safely and feel very comfortable in the times where he's allowed to make drones instead of army.
Yeah, I think for Elfi it would be a very, very wrong move to just say like, I'm going to play this more passive, because you can't give Jaedong that reign. As you already said, he feels very confident and also has a really good read on what Elfi is doing here. You saw that in game number 1, where he countered every single step of Elfi's strategy. So as long as Jaedong gets the scouting information and plays the style that we saw in game number 1, he will have a very good position against Elfi. And I mean, the Protoss player is now trying to get a, well,
he saw that there was no third. So he decided to cancel that.
Moves the pylon still to the left.
Right, yeah. To not build that pylon. With Jaedong taking a late third, we usually do see this with Swarmhost builds. So I wonder if that's something he's going to do. The alternative, I guess, is what he's looking to do now with Double Evo is Ultralisk builds.
Yeah, the problem right now for Elfi is that immediately the pylon is being attacked, and he will not be able to save that pylon. He kills like 2 of the Zerglings, but that's already it. So Elfi not only supply blocked, at the same time he loses his forward warp, and that is going to delay everything that he was trying to do there. So Jaedong will be able to easily defend this. And as you already said, like an Ultralisk transition on Hive Tech is definitely something that he couldn't work towards, especially now since he started the double upgrade with the melee upgrade as the attack upgrade. So Jaedong delaying his third base here a little bit, but in a very strong position regardless. And elfi really has a bit of a problem with his balance here. He's supply blocked again.
Yeah, it's always interesting when Zerg delays their third for a significant amount, as we see now. Makes them less susceptible to early harass. Something elfi has shown himself to be very, willing to do. Those zealots took a while before they started fighting back because they were on move command and will lose to these triple queen Zerglings there. So that's going to make it very hard for elfi to take a third of his own, because normally you'd like to save the zealots, recall home, and then move with like 6 to 8 zealots to take your third. With the amount of Zerglings that Jaedong is making, how long will it take for elfi to finally take an army that is allowed to take a third?
Yeah, it's going to take a long, long time for him. And elfi is just already in a position where he's losing the map control that he would really like to have at this point. Jaedong, with all the links that are now on the map for him, really can not only scout everything and find those forward pylons, but at the same time he can always just go up against the third base of his opponent. And his own lair take is nearly completed. And the army composition that he's currently using is very mineral intensive. There's no gas involved, so we don't really see him with a lot of gas invested at all. And now that he reached the lair tech and has his 1/1 upgrades, the Zerglings are still very effective, even against +1 zealots. So we see him just building lings, and nothing else than the Zerglings, getting that third base up, spreading the creep further. And with the lair tech completed, he can now do whatever he wants. So far, he doesn't really get a lot of scouting information out of his opponent. The Overseer that we're seeing morphed right now will, of course, change that quite soon, and then he will make a tech choice. But at this point, elfi is really struggling against the map presence and the sheer force of Jaedong's composition.
Yeah. It's funny that elfi has decided to go for an Immortal all-in. He's got 2 Immortals and a War Prism. No gas 3 and 4, so a high Zealot count with Immortals. The Immortals are good to kill buildings, to provide some extra firepower, but they don't do bonus damage against anything that Jaedong has. Normally they kill roaches quite well, but there are no roaches.
Oh god.
No bonus damage on queens, so it's not the ideal strategy, to be sure, to have some Immortal all-in against mass Zerglings. But the Zealot count is going to be significant. Going up against 1/1 links, though, and queens,
yeah,
I can't help but think that this will be a very difficult to pull off strategy for elfi.
I mean, we have Jaedong at 46 harvesters, so he really didn't overcommit his economy. And now he's moving in with roughly 100 Zerglings, going for it, just as we see. And those force fields are, of course, going to help out at first, but that sentry count is just getting lower and lower over time. The Queen's helping out as well. And elfi is already struggling against this. Jaedong is just producing so many links. His injects are perfect here. He has so much lava. He can use that. He's only on 3 hatches, but he doesn't miss a single inject. And that provides him with the lava that he needs against this aggression. The army supply here is very, very even, but the 1/1 is so coming through. And look at all those queens lending their strength to it.
Yeah, it's the first fight didn't go as well as it could for elfi, but it was still okay. He killed 60 Zerglings, but now
he's just losing all the sentries. He doesn't have sentries anymore, and that means no force fields. So the next wave of Zerglings can just simply go in and do the damage. With the 1/1, that shouldn't be a problem for him. And we still have Jaedong with a high bank in gas, and he also has the minerals. The +2 attack upgrade is nearly done, and he's still continuing to produce queens. The queen count is at 8 right now.
So insane with number 9 and 10 coming. And if this +2 finishes, that's going to be game. But so far, it's looking better for elfi than I thought it would. He's using force fields to zone out the queens a little bit. Pretty good fight there for elfi, but queens are so good defensively. Yeah. Their energy is starting to run high. They can transfuse each other. Still, elfi has closed the supply gap. It's equal now. You could say that it's been going better and better for him.
Yeah, elfi is now moving into the third base, and it looks a little bit like Jaedong is actually going to sack it. Yes, he's not going to defend the third base anymore.
Wow.
elfi takes the third down. And I'm really surprised when all those sentries were down. I really thought that Jaedong would be able to move in and take the win there. But the new ones that were warped in really saved the day for him. Now a few Zerglings coming in from behind. He's trying to sandwich that position. And Jaedong is, I mean, his injects are so good in this game. But now with only two remaining hatcheries, Zerglings are going to be very ineffective.
Yeah, hard to outproduce anymore at this time with just two hatcheries. He's got a lot of queens. That's one way to circumvent the larva problem. But I feel like the critical amount of zealots has been reached where easy surrounds cannot isolate units anymore.
The +2 is now done for Jaedong, but really the lack of that third base really works against him. And now here we go. We have a nice position for elfi on the high ground. Does use his force fields as much as he can to zone out the queens in particular. But Jaedong is dropping in supply. elfi doing a great job here. Suddenly looking at 60 army supply against 35. That warp prism still utilized to just warp in round after round. Of course, the upgrade advantage of Jaedong working against the Protoss player here. But with only 2 bases left, Jaedong is starting to struggle a lot. He's trying to go into Infestors, and if he gets that tech, if he gets the Infestors with the Pathogen Glance upgrade, then that might change the story completely. But for now, elfi is the one who's calling the shots.
Yeah, will Jaedong get that amount of time? It's a good decision to go for Infestation Pit, otherwise he'll just be drawing dead. He can't just keep making Zerglings. But now, with the move onto the ramp, one of the favorite moves, here, as Zealots get warped into the main bane, Force Field on the ramp there. Does he have more energy for Force Field? Yes, he does. And what a great position there for him to defend.
Oh,
Gonna take down the Infestation Pit. He's got to start Infestors now. Cannot wait for Pathogen Glance.
He did it.
6 are being made.
6 are being made, but that Force Field on the ramp is just being built over and over and over again. Infestation Pit in the main base already gone. And Jaedong really struggling against this. That Warp Prism on the high ground, of course, being used to warp in additional Zealots and send them straight into the mineral line. And at the same time, elfi now deciding to just poke once again at the natural just a little bit. But the main base is completely getting demolished, as you can see here. All of the drones, or most of them, are already gone. And the Latic is going to fall next. Finally, a few of the Zerglings get into the main base. The army of elfi was pushed back for a little bit, but the first Spinecrawler is already down. That wall is getting destroyed with the first Evolution Chamber falling. Army supply still in favor of Jaedong now for a little bit, who's trying to rebuild that Infestation Pit. He has those Infestors now. Maybe those can be used to just give him an edge in the game again.
Yeah, Colossus even being made now. All in the midst of this, he started a Colossus transition. Very wise decision there. Almost gets the lair, but of course there's a lot of queens here, and he can transfuse it.
Yeah. Transfuses that to half health immediately. And elfi moved back. He realized that it would be a little bit too tough for him to really break through the defensive with the Spinecrawlers now that the Infestors are in the picture.
Wow.
But behind all of this, he went into Colossi, and he started the range upgrade for the Colossi already. And Jaedong, what does he have against Colossi? They're only Zerglings and
Queens are very
right
good
now.
against Colossus.
Queens help, that's definitely true, but he doesn't have anything else but the Queen. So
yeah. Well, he can fungal the Zealots, the Colossus maybe moves forward, gets fungled again, keep it all in place, and try to shoot down the Colossus with Queens. That's okay if there's 1 or 2 Colossi, but if there's like 3 or 4, that doesn't cut it anymore. And he would need to start a Spire for some Corruptors.
There are 12 Queens. What we also could see, what in this situation could come in handy, which haven't seen in a long time, is Nova Parasite. That might actually work out if you have only a very small account and if you have the queens behind it.
It can work.
It could.
But it doesn't work as well as it works in my imagination usually. I was always thinking, why don't they use it more? I use it and every infestor that uses it dies immediately. It's very difficult to pull off. But sure enough, elfi moves out with just 1 Colossus for now. And Fungal could be pretty great. Is he going to lock down a big part of the forces there? He's got to watch out. He doesn't get force fielded in too much, though.
There comes the second Fungal. Great Fungal so far. Hits another one, but he's losing too many Infestors in the process. The Fungal here are great, and they're killing a lot of the sentries.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That one was really good. Now he's going to lose
Fungals.
even more. But at the same time, the losses that he took there, that was a big problem. Losing this many Infestors. Oh, my God. He loses another one right there. The Fungal's really doing the damage, but it's those Colossi in the back that are just so efficient. And with all the Queens suddenly pushed back, the Colossi can do so much damage. But the Queens are starting to really make themselves noticeable there.
Yeah, very nice transfuses there. Has to keep it up. Cannot let up with those transfuses. He needs some Zerglings on the Colossi, but it looks like elfi's army is too big. And GG!
GG! elfi starts the equalizer score. Maybe the start of the comeback here. 1-1 already in the series. That was a pretty nice game.
2-3. 2-3.
At the beginning, I really didn't give elfi much chances after we had the... Like, we had how many Zerglings? 100 with 1-1.
Yeah.
And once those sentries were gone, it really looked like Jaedong might come through. But killing that third base was so great.